Thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world. I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to part two of an origin story. If you haven't checked out part one, there's a link in the bio. Please do check it out. It really gives context to what part two is all about. Literally my formative years from first year in 2012 to completing my honors in 2018. And yeah, part two takes it from 2019 to where we are at this current time. So let's dive in. 2019. So literally trying to figure out my consulting mindset and how I'm gonna train, right? And while trying to figure that out, we had entered an international competition in 2018 and we made it past the first round, which meant there was a regional qualifiers in one part of the world. So the guys in the East met up in Hong Kong, somewhere there. Then if you were in sort of like within the Greenwich, sort of like Africa, Europe, you met up in London. And then if you were in like South America, Americas, you met up in New York. So we had an opportunity to go to London, fully sponsored trip for a weekend. So they were gonna sponsor it for a weekend, but we could stay for an extra couple of days if we wanted to, which we did. So we cleared the first round, so which meant we were going to London, and the London qualifiers were happening in February of 2019. So settling in, starting my master's, having this consulting thing to do, trying to figure out my consulting mindset. It was an exciting time to start the year. So we got on the plane. I had started picking out consulting materials that I had wanted to read to sort of like upskill myself. And this one fantastic book, case in point, was the one that I picked. Literally everything that I know about consulting, I learned from that book, and it literally gave me a good foundation to go on and learn new material, learn other material, as well as the stuff that I read. So on the plane, broke out the laptop, started like reading and practicing, because it was like a 13-hour flight connecting to Paris, and then we take like a 1-hour flight to London. So there was lots of time. Sleep, watch movie, study, whatever you wanted to do. So I dedicated some time, like 3-4 hours, and it was really good. I was motivated, determined to test myself internationally. We arrive in London on Friday. We meet the CEO of this organization, we meet the other contestants. A couple of teams were from Morocco, one team was from France, and there were 2 or 3 local teams from English universities. So really diverse, very different background. And there was one team also from Germany. It was really nice, to get like a nice breath. So over the weekend, so we got the case Saturday morning. We had 6 hours. After that, you presented for 5 to 7 minutes, something like that. Went through the process, read the case, solution, split up the work, do the thing, right? It's the consultant dream team, right? We're back together. So we do the thing, we do the presentation, and I remember actually sitting out this presentation because I wanted to give the learning opportunity to my team, to the team. We came third, which really bummed me, and the team as well. It's like we put in a lot of work, we put in a lot of effort, and we're just a couple of steps away from first place. First place meant a trip to Las Vegas in September 2019, so there was a lot at stake, but unfortunately we didn't get there. But we came back motivated. We were like, what, this could be a good career path. So far so good. We had promised that we'd stick together, try out more competitions, and see where this train goes, Back home in SA, working, really starting to get into my masters, as well as my extracurricular stuff. I was chair of one organization, so that also like was where my time had to go. So I'm pretty much figuring out how to upskill myself in consulting. I reached out to people who had done previous trainings at UP, the guys who were judges last year at the consulting case competition. The organizers themselves, what books they read, what would they recommend, and case in point came up. So that was literally like the holy grail for me, and I literally based everything out of that. So how I set up my time was Monday was time for my extracurriculars. This is Monday evening, because Monday to Friday is my masters. Then this is evening time. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening time, strictly consulting. We're reading, we're learning, we're reading a book, we're listening to a podcast, we're reading articles, we're trying to understand, we're doing research, case studies, case interviews, all of it. Literally didn't leave anything to chance. Like, this was it. We're gonna get another opportunity and just had to be ready whenever an opportunity came up, right? Then Friday was either a night off or something that I had missed during the week. So maybe I needed to put in extra time somewhere. So that's how I like set up the year. So this is like Feb, March, April, May, June, literally it became a process. Monday, this is what we're doing. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, consulting. Friday, let's do something else. Week after week, and it just became a habit. I knew where I needed to be. I knew where my energies needed to flow. And I started getting into podcasts as well, and I got into like this mega podcast by the company Just Do It. The company whose slogan is Just Do It. They have a podcast called Trained. Literally just changed the way I thought about like fitness and athletes, and just being a top tier performance. And that's where championship mode comes from, because it was like, you guys this is really good. You're talking about mindset, you're talking about body, talking about being the best version. And it was like, where's the mind part, like that emotive state? Where's the soul part of it? And boom, those were the first notes of championship mode. I was like, this is so cool. So I started listening to them more and more. They used to talk about mindfulness, wellness, meditation. And yeah, I started getting into it, started trying out things to see if they'll work for me, like sleeping patterns, like, does your room have to be dark? Do you sleep with socks on or off? Do you take cold showers before you sleep? All of that stuff. And eventually I figured out something that like made me like work longer and just be more focused, while putting in the same, energy. And that is sort of like what I wanted to do with championship mode. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I can actually feel a difference in my performance and how much energy I have during the day. So cool. Championship mode, cool. We put it in the back of our heads. This consulting journey is ahead of us. The masters still needs work, and the extracurricular stuff needs work. So we're grinding, we're in it, we're sitting. And by that time, it's then July, August, the UPCS case competition comes up again. And then I'm like, do I want to do it? Initially, I didn't want to do it because I was like, I've learned what I needed to learn, right? But then I was like, hang on, well, I've actually like made progress from like Jan till now, and maybe use the competition as, a feedback to see if you've improved in your knowledge, in your craft, or am I still the same? So I was like, oh, okay, cool, let's do it. So just like 2018 first round, I teamed up with a mate of mine. She is the queen of social media. Her YouTube channel is Community Living. Community Living. She talks about finance stuff. So yeah, check her out. So I was like, fam, do you want to help me with this? She was like, yeah. What do you want me to do? At that time, she was in East London, so everything was like virtual. We used to chat. She used to like fly in once and again. And she knew like it was my dream, so like she really tried to support me how she could, you know. So yeah, we cleared first rounds, then second rounds came through, 24 hours, and then presentation, right? So the case was released on Monday, no, Tuesday. So Monday they prepped us, the case was released on Tuesday, and you submit after 24 hours, and then presentation on Thursday. Excuse me, was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Thursday, yeah. Cool. Give us the case. It was actually like a rough time for the masters, right? Because we had a few setbacks. So a lot of my time during the day was just devoted to my masters, and I got home really tired some days. And this was the wrong week. So I read the case, you know, and I start meditating on solutions, you know, like I'm like, okay, you know, how many slides do you want the presentation to be? How do you want to break it up? What are we doing? You know, what's the catch? And then it hit me, because that year, Infinity War came out, basically where Thanos is like collecting the Infinity Stones himself. So I'm like, I want to collect my Infinity Stones. So cool. I lay out the solution across 6 metrics, because there are 6 Infinity Stones, and literally for each one I framed it in the type of Infinity Stones that it was. So for example, a power Infinity Stone would mean you are blowing the competition out of the water, right? You're literally like being aggressive on the market. And a Soul Stone will be something like capturing and captivating your customers, right? So I sort of like themed it and tried to make it practical. And my mate really loved it. She was like, dude, no ways. You love Thanos too much. Those are the exact words. And I was really nervous putting it together. I was like, what if this doesn't fly? What if it doesn't connect with the audience, you know? I was like, alright, cool. Let's go for it either ways. So went for it. Presentation day comes, 10 minutes, and from start to finish, literally captivating. And people really loved it. And the judges really loved it. They spoke to me afterwards. They're like, wow, you're really good. Here's my card. We'll chat afterwards. And at that same time, this same company was opening their application program for the graduates, for the graduate programs. So they had like a strategy division, and then they had like a consulting advisory division. So stayed in touch with the contacts that I had made, let me know when it was open, and boom, sent out the application. And in that period, I was actually like sending applications to like the top consulting firms. So it was literally just part of the process, and was just sitting, waiting for the feedback, you know. They hit me up, they set a date, and now I'm like really excited, I'm like really motivated, right? This is the opportunity, this is it, you know. I'm still practicing, I'm still doing what I need to do, you know. I'm still following my process, because I've been following it for so long, and it got me the job, so I was like, let's stick with it. Did my research on the company, what they did, who my potential interviewers could be. Do I have any friends there? Turns out I had a really good friend there. Spoke with him, had a meet up, literally broke down everything, the graduate program, how everything worked from his perspective. And so I sort of like had an inside track, right? Which was fantastic. Put that to good use, frame my mind, you know, in terms of like what possible questions I could get, what breadth and depth of like industry knowledge they expect, and how everything could kick in, you know. Um, then interview day comes, boom, go there on time. The interview was an hour, I think it was an hour, two parts, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. So the 30-minute part is like, tell us about yourself, about conflict, how do you solve problems, the personal side, right? And then the next 30 minutes is like case-based, where they give you a case and you literally have 5 minutes to come up with like a solution of how you would solve it. So like they really stress like that time pressure, because it's something that you face in the business. So yeah, did that, came out really well. Really like they had like a whiteboard, so instead of like trying to like do something on the laptop or on paper, literally went on the whiteboard, and I said, these are the three things to do. Even named my method, which which they found like funny, so which was really good. And yeah, they really liked it, and it was a good way to like close off the interview. So I'm going home feeling good. I'm like, all right, okay, I think it was good. I'm like, yeah, I think it was good. Just having an honest conversation. So whether the job came or not, I still had to stick to my process because there was no confirmation yet. Still stick to the process. It's got me here. I wanted this consulting gig, so let's get it right. So 2-3 weeks go by, I'm like, what's going on? But that week where I started worrying on that Friday, sent me the email, got a positive outcome, and literally I was like, boom, it's done. That's what this has all been for. We got that 1 year. And it was just so rewarding that, if you believe and if you do the right things, what's meant for you will be, right? So I told my friends, they were really happy for me, because they knew how much time and energy and effort I had put into this career switch. But instinctively, I still wanted to follow the process. So in the process, I was there. I was there in the process, reading the books that I needed to read, doing the case studies, and just keeping myself ready, because now the game has changed, right? I studied chemical engineering. I'm going into consulting, and it's like anything could be next. We're playing an infinite game now. Like, what's the potential I could reach? So it's literally just going. Then that's how 2019 ended, and literally 2020, I started at PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the Foundation for the Future graduate program. So 18 months, you can rotate through the advisory business. They had like a 6-week induction training program, which was intense. Yeah, it was really good. Like the whole day you have training, and then you have case studies. They give you like a big case study to solve. They pair you with different people. You have to manage conflict. You have to manage expectations. You have to work with your team. You have to bring out people's good personalities. And it was really just such like a testing ground for how project life will be. After that, they draft you straight into the business. You have like business experience week, where they sort of like introduce you to the projects that are available, and if there's someone who's looking for your skill set, and what other possibilities you can do in the business. Then after that, it's literally like straight into project work. Sometimes projects are not like, you won't have a project that's available or that needs your skills. So which means you have to keep busy by maybe doing proposal work, doing internal admin, or working on training. So it's quite a lot to keep you busy. But first prize is always like project work, because you learn more, you grow more, you're exposed to more people in the business, and you sort of like grow your brand in that way. So I had 3 like main rotations. My first rotation was in the strategy part of the business, working for a mining client. That was about 5, 6 months. Then my second rotation was operations transformation, working with like the procurement side of the business, and I was there for 8 months. And my last rotation, which then closes off like the 18-month graduate program, was back in the strategy part of the business in the energy space. So I really had like a diverse, so far I've had like a diverse like rotation, different skills, different industries like mining, procurement, energy. And that one sort of like aligned because chemical engineering background, my master's is in renewable energy. So that's how I close off the foundation for the future graduate program. So it sort of like officially closes in June. But in May, we have like a business case where you sort of like create a business case to motivate the business keeping you and which teams you would like to join. So obviously conversations start before that. You have to like speak to the right people, speak to the people you want to speak to, right? Like whose team do you want to join, and secure those decisions, secure the budgets to make sure people actually want you, you know? So yeah, I did that in May. It was literally just a confirmation, spoke to the right people, and I joined the procurement team. So I was drafted into the business as a second year associate, which is my current role. So July last year, 2021, right? I was permanent. That's the word. I was a permanent staff as a second year associate, and usually you like stay in a role between 1 and 2 years, depending on like your career growth, how much you're exposed to, and what you want for yourself. So promotions are in March, they're confirmed in May, and then if you do get promoted, you have your new promotions like listed in July, right? So your salary change will come through at the end of July. So that's just like some of the internal mechanics of how the firm works, and that's like literally my experience so far of consulting. Since I was an associate, when I became an associate, I've worked on 3 different projects. So I worked on a digital strategy for a pulp and paper manufacturer. Really like quick type of like 3-month work. Then I did some work for the energy team as well, and that was like a 1-month stint for like commercial strategy in how to like draft green energy and hydrogen into South Africa's energy mix. That one was like, I think that's been like my best project so far. It was for a month. It was my best project because I literally wrote onto the team late. We had 4 weeks to deliver this project, and yeah, it was such a busy time in the firm. My manager was like, "Look, I need you to run with this," and I was like, "Say no more." Literally run with it. Got the feedback when I needed to in terms of like solutioning. Is this what the client wants? How do we pivot and all of those things? And the project really ended well. And start of November, I am now back in the procurement team, working for how do I put it? Working for an industrial manufacturer. They're like a multinational in Southern Africa. So really cool. It's not just like one part of the business. You have to think about the other regions as well. So I've been on that project since November. So end of Jan would be 3 months. And yeah, it's a lot of resilience has been built because like things move quickly. We're trying to do a lot for them. We're trying to like give them the value as opposed to, they think they're just hiring us because like we speak fancy or we put things into pretty slides. Some people think that's what consultants do, speak fancy and make slides pretty. But when we get it right, we do get it right. So that's literally where I am in my consulting journey. So literally, you guys are caught up, and it's now, where do we go from here? I'm like super chill about my career growth because there's a lot of career growth that I'm experiencing. So for me, as long as I keep pushing and reaching my potential, I'm good. As long as I keep learning and growing and just stepping into, the next available roles, then I'm good. Just keeping a fluid mindset because things change quickly in consulting. But so far so good, and you know, we'll see where everything goes. But so far so good. We're doing the right things, and hopefully it continues. But just to leave you with one thing before I leave, I'm sort of like about to finish my masters. Last year, like I was really working on it a lot, so which meant a new process, right? It was like I work 8 to 5, 9 to 5, however, whatever the project requires. Then I have to work on my masters later at night in the day. And so it was like 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hitting out the masters at night. Then Thursday evenings were for training and upskilling. And then Friday we're back on the masters, or it's a night off. Then Saturdays, depending on if something is lacking, more masters work or I'm doing external consulting training. 4H has really good training programs, and this new training program is really famous with a lot of people. The Forward program, so there's really a lot to do, and it just has to align with the skills that you want, and if those skills are relevant for your industry and for consulting. But usually, consulting has so many skills, and literally nothing goes to waste. And that's the process that I've had to like deal and learn for myself. So hopefully I finish my masters in the next 2 months, so end of March. We need to be celebrating. We need to post up something on special edition, that would mean I need to come up with a new process. I've already started tweaking it because I need to sort of like put championship mode and Consulting Diaries production into like my usual routine. But yeah, it's just all about picking a routine, stick into the process, try different things, experiment, see what works for you. It's a lot of sacrifice, right? Because like I said, we're playing an infinite game. We're trying to hit that potential. We're trying to hit like milestones out of the park. It's not about being good in your job anymore. It's what value do you bring to your society and your community, and yeah, we're still figuring that out, but we're getting there. And for me, consulting is like a stepping stone to learn so much in such a short space of time. And my vision for my career is to be like end up at the African Union or like the United Nations or like some developmental organization, and just sort of like use my skills, my experience for good, to change the world. And I think with consulting, you can really learn a lot. You can make a lot of networks, and you carry that into your next roles. So in case you're wondering like what my end game what my end game is with regard to my career, it's being on that level. I genuinely believe it. So yeah, in short, that is my consulting experience. Yeah, thank you for sticking through. Next time you see me, we'll probably be talking about planning resolutions and just how to ensure professionally and personally what we want to achieve reflects in our resolutions. I think that's a really cool thing to do. And I'll take you through my process, and how I've banked my resolutions and how I make sure it works for me and it's what I want to achieve. So yeah, stay tuned. But before then, thank you. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, do it all, share. You know who I am. On Instagram, I'm Championship Mode. My personal page is I Live a Blonded Life. On YouTube, this is the Consulting Diaries. Nothing new there. And on LinkedIn, you can find me as Emmanuel Adu Ogu. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much, and as always, stay in championship mode.